Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Smudcast number 639, Marvel's Defenders of the Status Quo, Part 2. We're doing yesterday's video. We're finishing it off, hopefully. And we were slowing down pretty badly there, the half part. It was just everything he said. We had to pause and make a comment. It's kind of, it's not a new thing when we watch these guys that they're so ingrained. They're so entrenched in their views that they can't see past their nose, and everything they say is biased. It's sad, but it's expected. But we never know exactly what they're going to say. So, and I was trying to make it akin to a religion. So the person who's religious is saying, "Well, where's my God? Where's my Savior in your ethical framework?" It's like, well, maybe they're not like you, and they don't have to have every single thing that you think in their story. So it's that level of what about me-ism, I guess you want to say. What about my religion? So Jonathan McIntosh, the pop culture detective, if you can even call him that, if whatever that means. We are halfway through a 22-minute video, the 11-minute mark, and we're going to start with that. A lot of people not joining because they have lives and they have better things to do with their time, of course, because this is Jonathan McIntosh. We all have better things to do with their time.
Then Lala needs some time.
Yeah, Lala needs half an hour. Slot needs their good half hour. We don't even know if LitDev's going to come in. I haven't heard him all day. So who knows? We don't know. Anyway, I have subtitles on. We are in the watch together for the most part. People who are here. Let's get going.
When we take a look through the Marvel supervillains and evil masterminds, we immediately notice that nearly all of them strive to disrupt or destroy the status quo in some way.
And that is
in short, they
good?
seek structural change. Now, granted,
if by structural change you mean elimination of life, this is like saying Thanos was good. Or Thanos did nothing wrong because he brought structural change by killing people.
If he lived in India, he'd be a worshipper of Kali.
Oh, God.
I mean, Ultron's plan was basically just hitting the reset button on all of existence on Earth.
Yeah, this is not... I mean, killing people is nothing new.
It's change. Why are you so opposed to change?
But to call it structural change is a bit... missing the point of every single villain and their motivation and their plot. So
it's definitely changed when everyone's dead.
Yeah, I mean, this is my big question here. What differentiates Jonathan McIntosh here from not a Holocaust denier, but a Holocaust justifier? That was a lot of structural change.
Yeah,
Why do you resist?
This is some weird mumbo jumbo about saying, well, wars are bad and all, but look at what they're trying to do. They're trying to upset the status quo, and you're like, why do you want that? Through war.
Yeah, all these genocidal maniacs. At least they change things.
Oh my God! At least. All these mass murderers and warlords, at least they try to upset how we go about our daily lives by killing us. Okay.
I mean, how bored do you have to be if the end of the world is what you wish for as at least it's different?
He had to end the world. He was told to take out the trash, and he took out, at least the trash on the curb is gone.
Yeah, can you imagine if all they wanted to do was reform? Let's pick garbage collection. How we reform how a society collects garbage. You'd be like, that's the villain of the story. You could write a story like that. You could write a Batman.
I'm sure there's a manga about it.
There's probably some mundane scenario in a Batman episode that I missed, where it's just some beat cop just trying to catch a petty criminal or something like that. It's no big deal, and Batman's involved in some way. Like there's probably some mundane story like that, which you could see the villain as the petty criminal. That's fine. You could tell a story like that. Could you make a Marvel movie about that and have enough people be interested enough to watch it? I don't
Nope.
think so.
Not at this point. Not at this point, no.
Yeah, if it was like a Saturday morning cartoon or episode of TMNT or Batman or something like that, like a slice of life, like a day in the life of Batman where nothing too crazy goes on, where he just apprehends a few villains, like a few purse snatchers or something like that.
Isn't it sort of what Joker was?
In a
No big things happening. Slice of life tragedy.
Basically, yeah.
He just has a weird bomb that doesn't kill people, just knocks them out, and he steals all their stuff, and he runs away like a crazy person.
I mean, again, we've said before in the past, like any idea, no matter how small or how stupid, can work if you put enough like work into it. Again, we keep bringing up the fact that the original idea for Batman Beyond was god awful.
Okay.
But Bruce Timm made it work by putting it in the future and creating Terry McGinnis.
I wouldn't say enough work. I would say the right work, because enough work is just a quantitative amount that can just completely miss the target, and that's where we get these arguments from. Oh, buy this full price game that is actually crap and shallow because so many people put so much work into it.
Which is
but the end product is meh.
Yeah, which is not a finished product because of the beta release method. What is it called? Was it the beta release culture? What is those dumb terms we have from gaming?
Early access.
That's not a culture.
But they call it. There's a culture of early access where AAA companies can release games that aren't finished. You're like, sure?
Well, yeah, but most people are idiots. We've known this for years.
Yeah, like
you can look pre-order.
You could look at pre-orders. You could look at Kickstarter, where it's sort of like, okay, that's what you know what you're getting into. But when you have games like Andromeda, which are released, which are said to be finished, and you know they're not finished by looking at them, or Fallout 76, even though it's an online game, you know it was not finished. Where it's like
Battlefront 2.
There's all kinds of examples nowadays. So.
Yeah, but you can also look at God of War Ragnarok. That's a lot of work that went into that. It's pretty long, but it's absolutely mediocre. The writing is crap. Honestly, it's a one of these woke subversions, and it's the gameplay. What I've heard, I haven't played it myself. I've watched the long plays, and what people who focused on just reviewing the gameplay, they said it's subpar.
Well, it's probably better than the first.
That's still not saying much.
I know, but they advanced it somewhat.
Yeah, great. They advanced something that was a huge downstep from the gameplay of the Greek God of War games, which is an actual combat system.
Yeah, but there's a reason why the core combat of the original 6 games was pretty much 85 to 90% the same across those games.
Yeah, and because in the first game it was already amazing, and like a fully fleshed out combat system that you could play to perfection, but for a normal playthrough you didn't have to at all, and that makes it great. Because you have this option to play really, really perfect. It's like in Bayonetta, where you have in the first game, where you can just casually play through and you will somehow make it, and then you can really perfect the gameplay, learn that on really high level, and that is immense fun. God of War Ragnarok, from how the gameplay was described, is just boring, repetitive, and meh. And then you have all these guys constantly talking over your shoulder.
As opposed to the old series where, with the exception of God of War Ascension, every game after the first game was a step up in terms of gameplay. No question.
Yeah, but the important thing here is a lot of work went into making God of War Ragnarok. But it's shit. Considering the price, you're not going to get the real enjoyment out of it.
Okay, let's keep going and back to movies, I guess.
Bad authoritarian change. But they are the only ones who seem to show any interest in fundamentally transforming the way the
Literal
world
Nazi.
works.
This will change the world.
My technology could change the world.
He's now arguing for literal Nazis.
The villain's motivations can range from personal revenge to
Another
righting
one.
social wrongs to good old-fashioned greed. But for our purposes here, we're more concerned with their nefarious plans and schemes, which vary
Why?
in scope and scale depending on the power level of the villain. The lower-tier baddies may only want to revolutionize one institution, like the military-industrial complex. Others may want to take down the biggest corporation on
That's
the
just
planet
normal
and its
improvement.
billionaire CEO. The more visionary villains, meanwhile, might aim to remake a whole city,
I wanted to make this city something better than it is.
or the whole world, or the entire universe.
We call that illusions of grandeur.
In general, the bigger the villain, the bigger the transformational change they're seeking to implement.
The expansion. It is my purpose.
The drive to rebel against or tear down the current world order is one of the reasons why audiences find supervillains so compelling,
Wait,
at
wait,
least
wait.
initially.
Build a really better
What?
world.
We like supervillains because they're ambitious?
This is mind reading. He claims we like supervillains because they want to change the world. That we like him for wanting that, for doing that.
I don't
What is that insanity? I think this is him projecting his own megalomania.
I don't think I've ever said, wow, Thanos is so cool because his ambitions are so big he wants to do whatever to impress death or whatever the case was. I don't...
Yeah, we're not impressed by the scale of change these people want to bring. We are appalled by the actual things they want to do because they are insane, bad, and evil.
Those things are
just like socialism.
Those things are scary. The reason why we're attracted to any character in any story is not because they do cool things. That's visually. That's like, ooh, Batman jumped and did a roll and he landed. That's cool. It's why they're doing it. Why is Batman doing what he's doing? Everyone knows Batman's story. He's motivated by that tragedy that happened in his past. He devoted his entire life to making sure that never happens ever again to another young boy or family. That's what he wants. And we know that. So every time he does something crazy, it's like unexpected, he's like, well, why is he doing it? For justice, to save people. So when he breaks the law, when he spends all his money, when he blows stuff up, he makes sure, one, I didn't kill anyone, because that would go against what he's trying to do. And two, did he save anyone? Because that's what he's trying to do. And that's why we believe and feel safe with Batman. We do not feel safe or in awe of Thanos when he kills half the universe. That's not impressive. It's not cool.
Yeah, if you empathize with the guys and their ambition, the things they want to do, like mass murder, genocide, then I think there's something wrong with you. I think you're a psychopath.
Yeah, when you watch Max Zorin, I don't know if you guys remember A View to a Kill, that James Bond, where Christopher Walken played as Max Zorin. He's one of the few Bond villains that were like, he pulls out an Uzi and just kills his own workers. It's like one of the scenes in Bond films where the Bond villain is like totally nuts. Like he's over the top in general, he's a genius, but like he just outright murders his own help because he could. And he laughs
I think
about
that's
it.
too long ago.
Yeah.
I don't. That's too long ago. I watched that.
I know. Like A View to a Kill is a very niche Bond film.
No, I have seen them all. There was I think it was 2013, where every day I watched another Bond movie from the start to whatever was released at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a ride.
Okay. Well, that's the one time where as goofy as all the Bond villains are, that was the one where I went, "Oh my god, that's just absolutely brutal."
Mhm.
You could have loved his performance because he's a good actor and is over the top in general, but that is where you go, this guy needs to be stopped. That was too much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's stuff like that turn you off. So imagine that on a huger scale. It doesn't matter how they get people killed. It's still evil. It's still bad. So I don't know where Jonathan's coming from here.
I think he's projecting his own admiration. He believes that everyone thinks like he does.
Well, there are some villains in Marvel that are sort of gray, and you're like, okay, I could see what they're trying to do. It's just their methods to get there are so brutal that...
Yeah, that's what I said last time. It's the path is the way. The path is the goal.
How they do it determines whether you become a villain or a hero in someone's eyes.
Yeah, if they whatever goal it may be. Like Thanos' goal is save people from excess starvation or something by using up all the resources. But his idea on how to do that is absolutely brain damaged.
Yeah, I know. We had all these talks about growing food and how to have enough resources and soil and nutrients and sunlight and all the jazz to raise crops and raise meats and raise produce. And it's like, guys, civilization has figured this out.
Yeah, we know how this works, and it looks like that even the human species will cap out due to natural environmental factors, and then stabilize. We just never got there before, because how would we? How would we have ever before? That's the real projections, not this. Oh my God, we're all gonna die because we're gonna infinitely reproduce and just overpopulate the planet. It rather looks like we won't, because that's why they keep complaining that in the developed countries, all developed countries have the same problem. I'd say problem in quotation marks, which is, the birth rates are declining. Well, if the birth rates are declining, we're certainly not going to overpopulate, are we? This effect happens normally when your society is developed enough. When it's not developed enough, or there's some wacky religious reasons why you need to have 8 children, then when you don't have these developments, then you still have tons of children, because you need to make sure that some survive for the next generation. And in a developed world, that automatically drops. Once child death is eliminated, basically, like within the first 5 to 8 years, it drops. Then you add basic education, healthcare, it drops further and further. Then you add contraceptives, and it just plummets. And in India, this was I think 10 years ago already, that the birth rates had dropped to about 2 children per woman in India, where people today still believe that they have 4 to 8 children, which is just not true. And this is why the politicians then argue, but in order to save the economy, we need to import people from all these shitty countries that haven't developed, because we economically castrate them so they can't. So it's technically a solved problem. We just need to develop far enough everywhere on the planet, and then birth rates stabilize, and then it oscillates around. Because Japan may also go into this demographic collapse, where they have too many old people, too few young people. But in the long run, Japan will also profit from that, because they also have a space problem. And when they have fewer people, that means more space for the people. But that's like the entire thing. Like, there is no overpopulation problem if you look at it the right way. It's gonna balance itself out if you take in all the right factors that are left out. Anyway, I'm on a tangent, and I'm going in circles at this point, so I guess I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep
these
going.
People, all these villains are retarded, because they don't know shit, or the writers don't know shit, so they can't write them, or they write them deliberately dumb. What do I know?
When you look at like Civil War, the villains are your friends or used to be your friends. Like that's perfectly acceptable. So
Yeah, that's interesting because there's an actual dilemma, but on the side of the good guys.
yeah, they disagree on a certain outlook on how to organize their
How do we run saving the world?
their superhero business or whatever you want to call it. So
Do we wait for bureaucracy to put its stamp on so that we can get a go to attack the alien ship that is charging its death laser, or do we just charge at the ship that's aiming its death laser at the Earth?
yeah, like this is the concept of identifying and understanding the opposing side, so you could understand their point of view and why they're so, their backstory, like someone died they loved or what have you. So that is fine. Once you have that, like with Thanos and his daughter, we get it. Okay, he sacrificed everything to do this because he really believed it. As crazy as that is, as psychopathic as it is, he actually believes that. So we knew what he had to give up in order to get all this power. So
He thinks it's so necessary. He thinks he is saving the universe.
well, yeah.
That's his delusion.
Anyway, let's keep going. Here's the Caporal. But Zoran was trying to destroy California based. Well, maybe nowadays, but back in the 80s, you're like, holy God, this is nuts.
And GigaChat is writing Giga IQ messages today.
Really? Anyway, there's one donation I should read. Here it is from Buttman and Throbbin. So is this guy's problem that Marvel movies aren't openly communist enough for his tastes? Because it's typically communists being the ones I see bitching and moaning about the status quo, or is his problem that Marvel movies feel very similar to each other? No, it's the former probably. The thing is, he likes the villains for some reason, which implies there's something, he does not like something with the status quo. So it's a very strange statement to say we are attracted to villains because they are trying to create a better world in their ideology or whatever their view is, which ultimately involves a lot of dead people. So that's why they're villains. But McIntosh is attracted to that, which is okay. I mean, you could be attracted to a villain for being evil. I guess that's fair. There's basic, oh, wow, he's doing an evil thing. That's an evil person. It's exciting. It's villainous. That's why I'm here. You can make that very basic surface level observation. But I don't think Civil War is that basic. I don't think Winter Soldier is that basic. I think there's a bit more nuance to the sides there. So no one is completely evil. Anyway.
You can interpret that Jonathan is just getting a hard on for power figures.
I don't know. This is a weird take.
Ultimate power. If I had that, I could change the world into the communist utopia I advocate for.
Yeah, I love the Emperor in Star Wars because he's so strong and he fights for change. And I'm like, to make a...
I'd only need to kill 7 billion people to get there. It's like it's basically pocket change.
I would only need to blow up planets to keep them in check. Like, what? No. Anyway, back to the crazy.
Means having to tear the old one down.
Graeber cites Russian anarchist Mikhail
It's revolutionary talk.
who
That's
in
why he's into it.
1842 wrote that the passion for destruction is a creative passion too.
Really?
By which he meant
Bakunin,
that the urge to
I
destroy
remember that
an
one.
unjust order necessarily involves a process of trying to imagine alternatives to the status quo. Viewers are especially drawn to what I call pseudo-social justice villains.
Pseudo-social. No, that is exactly social justice, you fucking fraud. Mikhail Alexandrovich Bakunin was a Russian revolutionary anarchist, socialist, and founder of collectivist anarchism. He is considered among the most influential figures of anarchism and a major founder of the revolutionary socialist and social anarchist tradition.
Collectivist anarchist? Isn't that contradictory?
Every time, anarcho-communism is an oxymoron. All of the things that these people say are oxymorons. Because they're morons.
Okay.
It's surprisingly simple.
Well, now we have pseudo-social justice villain, and I don't know what the hell that even means. Does that mean he's a good guy?
And he shields us, the big Russian socialist anarchist guy. Like, is there any question about what Jonathan McIntosh really wants?
Well, he's confusing me exactly what he's talking about right now. So maybe.
But what does he what he's talking about? Yeah, that is supposed to confuse you. But what does he really want? Him as a person. Why is he doing what he's doing?
He wants free Starbucks. I really don't know because I'm confused.
well, probably he also wants free Starbucks. Yes.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, here's his definition of pseudo-social justice villains. Here we go.
Titan was like most planets. Too many mouths, not enough to go around.
These are antagonists whose stated goals revolve around trying to end some kind of social problem, injustice, or illegitimate form of power. In the MCU, gods walk among us, literally, and they wield tremendous amounts of unchecked power.
Suffering for your gods is your only purpose.
But they are also cruel, or at best indifferent, to the suffering of the people they reign over.
You announce the winner of the most human souls sacrificed in the name of a god.
Okay, maybe he's not that great.
Oh no, not good.
This is the tyrannical status quo that Gore the God Butcher challenges and attempts to overthrow in Thor: Love and Thunder.
The only ones who gods care about is themselves.
Yeah, but he sees everything black and white. To him, all gods are bad. He doesn't make exceptions.
Yeah, in some of those cases, like we just saw, the gods are kind of crazy. And I don't know the context of that scene, but this is half a comedy.
Yeah, but he's not. And the the movie's half a comedy is an issue because it's tonally tone deaf. Is that a word? Well, there are even gods that's explicit in the movie. There are gods that are killed by Gore that are good, that are benevolent, that do care about their subjects, and he kills them indiscriminately, and that's the issue. That's the problem. He's not playing Justica, who says, if I find a god who is treating his subjects unjustly and just exploits them, then I will end him. So I better not find something like that about you. He's not like that. He's just kill them all. That's the problem.
He's just petty revenge.
It's just genocidal, and that's the problem. And McIntosh likes that. And here we get back to our completely nonsensical rewrite of a character, Kali Morgenthau, which isn't a name, by the way. So Morgenthau is a name. It means morning dew. It's a Jewish name. But Karli is not a Germanic name, not at all. We don't have a female version of Karl as far as I'm aware. There is I think the name Karli exists in Turkish and something else, which makes absolutely no sense. Also, she's a ginger.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why she's not black. That's why she's a ginger, because she's allowed to be a villain. Maybe there's something in the code here. But to refresh everyone's memories, her faction, the Flag Smashers, are squatters who took up residence in the abandoned homes of the snapped away population. And when the snap is undone and half the population of the planet returns, her faction is pissed that they can't squat anymore because those people wanted their homes back. So the goal of the stated goal in Falcon and the Winter Soldier of her faction is to redo the snap, basically. They want their world back where half the population is dead. And we're somehow supposed to empathize with her and her people. And I said last time, she's basically the type of squatter who sits in the house of a Jewish family that was taken to Auschwitz. And when the Jews come back from Auschwitz after they were freed, try to get back to their homes, and now other people live there, and had just taken them over with all the belongings that are still in there. That's what Carly Morgenthau is in that show. It's absolutely vile, and she's pissed and does all the bad things she does, all the terrorism, all the murder, because she can't squat anymore.
All right, here's the Adolf Klittler. Thank you, Adolf, for the tip. I want to sit this guy down and say, homie, I very much doubt the writings of Pee-Pee Poo-Poo Christofson or whatever bullshit 19th century philosopher was a big influence on the latest offering of the MCU gay slop, but I don't know if it would get through. No, I don't think it would make a difference to Mr. Jonathan, so don't even try. Yeah, no, his comment section's already rife with these people, so you're not going to bother with them either. And the Copperell, call me a theocratic capitalist Amber King. That's a new one. That's a combination of things, ideas there. Definitely better than what he came up with for a pseudo-social justice thingamabobbo. So,
if we're honest, none of the social justice warriors bring about actual justice on a social level, thus they're all pseudo-social justice warriors, which plays into my accusation that all of this is a scam.
It's essentially what it boils down to economically, if you want to go there, is redistribution of wealth. So
yeah, which is basically saying we want your stuff
for our stuff, for our purpose. Yeah, exactly. Okay, here we go.
The goal of the Flag Smashers in Falcon and the Winter Soldier is to redistribute food and medicine to refugees, prevent the reestablishment of national borders, and stop mass deportations after the blip.
How many times do we have to pay with our lives just to be citizens of this goddamn planet?
I don't remember those parts.
In Black Panther, Killmonger hopes to use Wakanda's vibranium technology to free African people from colonial oppression all across the globe.
When black folks started...
He could have started uplifting the Africans around Wakanda. Not doing this bullshit. He doesn't give a shit about anyone. He's just on a revenge trip.
Well, it wouldn't be much of a story if he just started doing it in a very systematic, pragmatic, like, oh, let's do the neighboring country or the neighboring tribe. Let's just keep expanding Wakanda's borders or whatever basic power structure you could use, because you can't just hand out technology.
But in the case of Wakanda, the revolution is simply he takes over the throne. Yeah. That's a very simple form of revolution that they have there, that you can do. You just challenge the king and kill him, and then you are king. And that's the revolution. And since he then has the throne, he can then leisurely do let's uplift our neighbors one by one in a controlled fashion.
Yeah.
And then we have Super Wakanda.
And
then we take over the planet, and not this bullshit here.
Here's Tom Hardley. Hey, Tom. I think one of the silliest things in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, besides everything else, is the idea that governments would get less restrictive in an event like that rather than more, and they skip over the devastation that would be to the economy. Well, if you have half the population just eliminated randomly, that would be a very few key people, because there's very few people in the world that are controlling everything, like the billionaires of, let's say, Saudi Arabia or Wall Street or what have you. So one or two of them might go poof, but the rest would still be around. So it depends on who has the resources and who can manage those resources still.
There's also a giant problem with if you lose a few key experts, you have lots of infrastructure breaking down.
Yes. When you're talking about, let's say, petroleum, I think there's only, is it in the States? Like Canada can't produce certain qualities of petrol for consumption in the global market. The States can't. So we have to ship our crude or sweet oil to the States because they have the patents, they have the formula to process that petrol for proper usage. So if those people are gone or don't know how to do that, yes, that would cause a problem. So it's not just energy, it's food, it's preservation, it's shipping, it's there's an expert at every step. And once half the resources or half the people, I would say, is a resource at that point to do the job aren't there, someone has to work twice as much, or they have to hire new people and train them, or someone has to crack the code or figure out the formula to solve the problems. And that would cause some chaos for sure.
Yeah, just think of the people who run the water cleaning facilities.
Sure, yeah.
The people who run the nuclear power plants.
Depending, but yes, I see what you mean.
If one power plant gets more people blip that are key figures, well, you have to replace all of those.
Right. And you have to shut
now
down
you have
reactors.
shitty water.
You have to like redo all the water tables. You have to like check everything over. Yeah.
And then you have the giant problem that you have global scale depression.
Well,
because everybody's lost someone.
Psychologically, that would be every family would lose half of someone. Or
you have global grief and insurmountable because it's a global event. This event probably drove lots of people on top of who already disappeared into suicide. And those people aren't brought back when they undo the blip.
Oh, that's right.
There's so much they could have done with this time between the blip and the undoing of the blip. There's so much stories you can tell, and then I just skipped over it.
All right, let's get back to whatever the hell he was talking about. I can't remember.
Or the resources to fight their oppressors. You know, that ends today.
As a viewer, you may have even caught yourself nodding along to the villain's big monologue.
No.
But just before you're won over to...
No, because he sounds exactly like Hitler when talking about the Jews.
He sounds like he wants to kill a lot of people because of some minority of random African tribes that are being subjugated by other African powers.
Oh, not just that. He's that type of black supremacist who believes that all highly melaninated people are totally on his side. Just like Hitler thought, everyone of remotely German descent everywhere on the globe would join his cause, which somehow didn't happen.
If they want to show him killing other black people that are enslaving other black people, I mean that would be pretty bold, but you would have to do that. If you're talking about African tribes enslaving the blacks, or whatever you want to call it. Like, there's a history of that. This is not some minor thing. Like, it's only the white people enslaved the blacks. No, this has been going on for thousands of years, and they enslaved their own people. So it's not like this some predominantly colonial thing that the West, when they came to North America, they took over. It's like, well, yeah. What do you think they did back home? Where do you think that practice came from? Anyway,
I just find it hilarious that Killmonger is absolutely congruent with Hitler's insanity. It works exactly along the same lines, and they cheer for him. Like the audience, the black supremacists, they cheer for him. This is exactly the same train of thought, the exact same broken logic and delusion. And hatred, race hatred.
It's one thing to slowly go to each neighboring village or city or country and say, okay, we are going to impose our will like you would any conqueror, but in a humane way. We're going to impose justice and order and our laws and all this other stuff. Like, that would be huge. That'd be really complicated. And he's going to say, no, we're just going to kill them. We're just going to go wherever we want and kill people. You're like, what? Wait a second. How is that helping people? You're just slaughtering people who you think are in power. So, a little more nuance.
Hey, change that's good. It's change.
I thought we learned our lesson from the Iraq Wars and the second one, and then all the other changes. We tried to impose democracy on the East. Didn't work out so well.
Wasn't that all just excuses to get the oil?
Well, yeah, but it's they could have done a good job. They could have done they could have said, hey, let's share and trade and talk to your oppressors and try to get you freedoms that you don't have and take decades to negotiate and learn and live. And, that would have been Like, hey, America, let's.
But you mean while getting the oil, also actually improving the place?
That would be a fair trade, although it would be a bit, heavy-handed, but it could have worked. So.
Holy shit! Half an hour and you're already 4 minutes, forward. Holy shit!
Yeah, we're going pretty quick. I know.
Hello. We already made the Hitler comparisons.
Yeah.
Why do you say that the moment I enter? It's like, you missed the Hitler comparison.
What do you know? Jonathan loves all the villains because they want change. You're like, wow, Jonathan, that's amazing. I'm glad you identify.
He even showed Red Skull as a positive example.
No!
Moron.
Don't show the unironic Nazi that highlights it in his own movie going, you skirt around the truth of being a puppet to the state. I am proud of it.
Like this is
when he happily put the Tesseract in his machine.
Yeah, we could.
And this wonderful psycho smile that Hugo Weaving is so good at.
We could start an entire YouTube channel just responding to every one of his videos, like the way that people don't like the bad takes of movies. We could just do a channel dedicated to that, to this guy.
I mean, we don't cover Renegade Cut much anymore, and Cavernacle.
Well,
we need a new commie to cover.
Tabernacle is kind of pointless, and Renegade
Cut kind of became a turtle in the way of he doesn't really show his videos much no more.
Well, there's no reason to cover them because they're all the same and they're just retarded. And Maggie May is just crazy and fun because it's fun to watch because she's so bonkers. This is like he actually is identifying with the villains of Marvel and saying they're good. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, because he wants us to like the crazy revolutionaries who are okay with the deaths on the way to the revolution.
They literally showed.
That's what that's his intent. That's it. That's the intention of his video here.
He wants people to rebel against whatever power structure they think is bad because pick a reason. And I guess he just wants people to die. I don't know. It's a weird take on a superhero story, which is about showcasing people who are heroes and beyond, risking their lives for something they believe in greater than themselves. And this guy's going, well, they don't really do anything, but the villains, they really change things. You're like, dude, are you?
He's trying to desensitize us to the genocide. Yeah. And this is so what he does is by the book Agitation and Propaganda, Socialist Agitation and Propaganda, for the revolution. So because the revolution causes chaos, causes a lot of death, and the revolution, the chaos and everything breaking down, that allows the socialist takeover. And he is telling us all this bullshit that we need to like the villains, and because they bring change, that change is good. Right now, change is good. Because we don't have socialism yet, anything that brings change is good. And if it brings genocide, that's okay, as long as we get socialism in the end. That is why he tries to desensitize us towards genocide, towards death, towards killing, because then we accept this revolutionary bullshit, and maybe we even join him because it's a good thing. That's what he's trying to do.
I just find it funny how it showed one scene where it's like, how long do I have to live on this goddamn planet? It's like, well, I seem to recall Carly blowing a building up with a bunch of innocent civilians in a previous episode. And just to go with the whole, she's sympathetic. No, she's not. She willingly killed those people.
And Falcon doesn't just lock her up.
Just pin her right there. You could grab her, cuff her.
He just wants to talk with her. He wants to understand her. Like, fucking hell. She's already a mass murderer. What the fuck do you want to do? We need to get Batman over from the DC universe.
Oh, yeah. He'll break her legs. You're going to jail! Oh, dear. That'd be great. Okay. 60. Yeah. 15 minutes. Let's keep going.
They suddenly decide to murder a
Yeah, that's sane.
Even when it makes no sense for that character.
There's still people in there.
It makes a lot of
It's
sense.
the only language these people understand.
Having the villain's methods always involve indiscriminate killing is a deliberate decision by the writers.
Yeah, because they're bad people.
I was gonna say, that's why they're evil.
Make a better world.
It will be better.
When everyone is dead.
That is not...
One that's designed to make extra sure the audience doesn't end up identifying with the bad guys or their revolution.
They imposed struggle and hardship on us, then labelled us as criminals for pushing back.
You're killing
Struggle is what
people.
brings us all together.
You stole things.
People who have nothing in common.
The struggle.
I mean,
Always
totally.
the struggle. It's you know why the Germans kept fighting so hard in World War II? Because they were told for decades at that point by the Hitler narrative that it's an eternal struggle for the German people against the rest of the world, and if we lose this war, then there's no point to live afterwards because there will be no German nation anymore anyway and no German people. And that's why they kept fighting so hard. And she is talking about her struggle. Her struggle already involved killing people and she still wants sympathy.
Oh dear. Okay, I have to read
And
this. I have to read this donation. It's a little racy, but here we go. It's
okay.
V for vagina. Okay. Listen, as bad as it gets, no vaginacle is, and for how bad as Renegade Cuck can get, they never pointed to an actual Nazi as a source of inspiration. They have pointed to people who were just as bad of Uncle Adolf, but hey ho, small victories, I guess.
That whole German struggle, and her talk about the struggle that they all face. You could even call it a Kampf, if you would.
That's the English title of Mein Kampf is My Struggle.
That's a joke.
That's
a joke. Whisp.
Oh, I thought you didn't know, and so I explained
I know,
the joke without knowing that I was explaining the joke because you were making a joke, and I didn't know you were making a joke, so I explained it.
Yeah, well.
I was about to say you could even call it Mein Kampf.
What is her Kampf?
Oh.
You know that was my joke.
His Kampf? Oh, okay.
No, hers.
Okay.
She's a they gender sexed her.
All right. Well.
Him. It.
Anyway, yeah. Let's listen to her one more time.
In common. For we are, after all,
Underlying message that emerges from this pattern is as inescapable as it is pernicious. We are being told that any attempt to fundamentally transform society is not only dangerous, but downright.
Because all these people have flawed causes. They're wrong.
Their methods are violent and crazy. So if you want to make the argument, if only Thanos didn't eliminate half the population, then of course, if he had another solution, people would be like, it's not bad. But that's the point. It's stupid.
And people like Killmonger, he doesn't even have this. His goal isn't even good. His goal is bad. Because he misidentifies the problem. It's all just revenge for him that he projects onto an entire race. Man, I wonder who did that before.
Even if Thanos
and then what's Red Skull? He showed Red Skull as one of these villains that we need to understand.
Well,
actual neo.
Even with
not just.
Well, even with Thanos, if he had better methods, it would still be, who is this guy to impose his will on the universe to say, hey, we're gonna double food production or whatever the solution he provides, as opposed to killing half of everyone. He then just, I don't know, duplicates all the food in the known universe in a natural way. Who would allow that? I think that's wise to allow that level of food, if that's all he wants. Like, maybe it doesn't do anything. Maybe he causes a huge population growth, which kills off a whole generation because they fight over it. There's all kinds of things that could happen as a result of magically getting stuff out of nowhere.
Yeah, all of those direct solutions for Thanos they're dumb. What if there is actually an imbalance in the universe where sentient beings will grow so much that they just eat the universe dry and then everyone dies out? If that is an actual problem, then that is the thing he would need to address with his ultimate power stones.
Yeah, that would be a universal he discovered, and only he, who is super smarter than everyone else, and he's a conqueror, so he knows all that, looks at the universe and goes, this is the problem. Now I can solve it.
Yeah, because that's like a Q problem in Star Trek, where how did you stop the moon from crashing into the planet? Oh well, I just changed the gravitational constant of the universe. That's the level of shit Thanos would need to do to solve the problem that he believes to see.
Yeah, like he might see it's not even a galactic level. We're talking a universal level. He would have to have knowledge of every galaxy, and he had to see a problem that's found in all of them. That to be like, oh, this is bigger than what you little guys know on Earth. This is a universal issue. That's a flaw that God didn't figure out, and I got to figure it out. I got to solve it.
Yeah, but there's another problem. You know have you seen the Eternals?
No.
It's a very, very long movie with not much happening. So there the lore for the movie audience is revealed that there are these cosmic giants that are born inside planets, and ours is one of those eggs, because all we basically exist because our intelligence feeds back into the thing. So when it awakens, when it hatches, there's this new eternal giant, cosmic giant baby thing. Then of course our planet dies, and so do we. But that's basically the purpose of our existence. The thing is, those cosmic giants, they create new suns, new stars. That means they are the ones who feed new energy and therefore matter into the Marvel universe. So there's no problem there's no lack of resources. There's an ongoing cycle. And so Thanos doesn't even have a point. Next thing is, yes, that movie came out later in the movie universe, but wasn't there already this one place where the Guardians of the Galaxy got the reality stone from, where they hid it in that I don't remember the names of all these places. But where Thanos also got then stole it from, where you have this soap bubble scene. That place is inside the head of one of these things that is dead somehow, or because it looked through a dimensional portal into our universe, or some bullshit. I don't exactly remember. Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought that was the head of one of these cosmic giants. So they are technically known by the writers already at that point and introduced into the MCU, even though their lore isn't explained. But Thanos, at that point, with all his super stones, could have attained the knowledge in order to understand how this whole bullshit works. And then think, oh, it actually regulates itself. Oh, I'm not actually needed. Well, what a pity. Now I have this giant army. What do I do with it? Just a thought.
Sounds like your standard, not Asimov, but like Arthur C. Clarke scenario, where it's like the whole planet was designed for a certain purpose, and that's that. You're like, oh, okay. So,
yeah, I wanted to write this. I had the idea for such a story in my late teens and never wrote it. And then I read some of these comics and saw, oh, someone already did that. Okay. Damn it.
All right. Let's keep going.
The equating of social justice causes with outright villainy is one of the reasons why the superhero genre is often accused of leaning conservative. Ideology.
How is humanity saved if it's not allowed to evolve?
Evolving the human species is what Hitler wanted to do. Dude, see, this is what I mean. There is no relevant difference between the National Socialists and the International Socialists, the red ones. There's no difference between the brown ones and the red ones, except the paint job of what logo they use, how shitty their uniforms look. I mean, the other ones, they had kind of the good company for that. The rest all use burlap sacks, it seems. And there's no relevant difference. They all just want to evolve humanity into something better. Just that the Nazis focused more on the body, and the other socialists, they just want to reinvent humans so that they will be compatible with the socialist idea, because the socialists at the top that try to get this all going, they know that humans as they are not compatible with the communist socialist utopia, that it can't work with humans as they are. That's why they need all this bullshit blank slate theory crap that brainwashes and inside out turns humans into something else. They don't want us as we are. They don't want to build a system for us that works. They just have their perfect idea, and we just need to be twisted and turned and broken until we fit into the mold.
Again, he has such an easy target. Ultron is like one of the key examples of lost potential. They wanted to have this one-note mass murdering robot be turned into a more nuanced character that wants to let humanity do its thing. And then it turns out that his plan is to reset the clock by dropping a fucking rock on the planet like it's the Holly from Gundam. Sending it back into a goddamn ice age.
Yeah, this is, I mean, to equate this to social justice is like, I don't know where he's getting this, but even if it was doing that, it doesn't matter. What they're doing or what they want to do is crazy, violent, and dangerous.
Just like social justice. Well, that's why he's upset. That's why Jonathan's upset, because all of these villains, they basically want the same thing.
Even if Ultron wanted to, like, I don't know, do stupid social, like do everything to max, like 50% representation, if that's even mathematically possible, for whatever aspect of life. Like, imagine it was this stupid, crazy social justice mumbo jumbo, and this guy was ready to do that. I don't care what it was. The fact that the way they do it is going to be destructive and violent. Like, can you imagine if I don't know, imagine he was able to, because he's a super AI intelligence, to argue to humanity, oh, this is the right way to think, this is the true ideology for the betterment of all mankind, any society, any culture, any language, any walk of life. That would still be pretty nefarious, because you cannot, like, you imagine an AI superintelligence that could figure that out and say, this I have discovered the best way to live your life, and it's nonviolent or whatever. And it incorporates, like, imagine inventing a language that everyone could speak, and that's not going to work. It's not going to happen. We tried that with Esperanto. It didn't work.
Yeah.
So like imposing this world huge philosophy that would apply to, like, how you eat, how you sleep, how you walk, how you talk, like everything would be.
How you use the bathroom.
Yeah, everything would be it'd be too imposing too quickly, and it would be seen as evil, as any imposing view would be seen as evil, even if it's nonviolent.
Wait, what the hell is Esperanto?
Esperanto? It was a language.
It's Spanish, but not, and it's shit.
Yeah, it's trying to.
And and socialists actually managed to make a small set of people speak it.
Right. They try to.
I was actually going to say, don't tell me. It's better off not knowing.
It's an experiment that was so like silly. I don't know if it was made by linguists or whoever invented it.
Yeah, it's a completely artificial language.
Right.
And they imposed it on, I don't remember where, I think somewhere in Middle or South America. And there's a small population that actually speaks it, passes it on through the generation because they grow up with it, and it's just dumb.
And I do know that William Shatner was advocating for it for at least an advertisement. I don't know if he was part of the movement, but he did actually advertise with it. So
yeah,
interesting.
And it's not a good idea for lingua franca. English is a much better lingua franca because it's absolutely simplistic, to be honest. It's super simple grammar. Yes, it has its grown oddities, but it's easy.
Yeah, it's kind of like
English is just super easy.
It's kind of like I was going to say it has tentacles everywhere, but it sort of absorbs other languages and says, okay, we're going to try French and just use those ideas and even use French words or even Italian words or even Japanese words at times that sound like Italian words.
Yeah, but that's less the issue. The thing is that the English grammar is just ultra simple.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Where was I? Right. So so we are more on the position of the path is the goal. Like the right conduct is important, and it will lead us to a better world. And keep the good of the world that we have intact.
Which implies you would use the existing system and change it slowly so people can adapt to the new concept of society or laws or ethics or justice, whatever
that we don't just have to constantly rebuild everything from the ashes.
And if you're an AI,
because that's horrible.
Yeah, and if you're like Ultron, like he's going to live a lot longer. He's going to say, okay, well, I can do this. It's going to take time because humans are slow. He should have taken that into account, saying, okay, sure, I can wait. I got time to kill, and humans are slow.
Well, that's exactly the problem. He didn't.
Yeah, which is like, if you want a guardian of humanity, you have to work with humanity. You can't just scrape it away and start from scratch. You have to say, okay, this is what we got. Let's build it up like you're a trainer, and you're teaching that person how to build up muscle. And it doesn't matter what the exercise is. It's like, okay, we're going to start slow and get faster and faster as we go to get to this level of performance that we're looking for. That's all it had to be. But it wouldn't be much of a story if it was just a good guy, good robot, helping humanity out.
It just came to me. It's like you can't have a guardian of humanity without humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of no purpose then. And what I mean to say is you have these two sides basically. Path is the goal, and on the other side you have what Jonathan McIntosh and his socialist revolutionaries want, which is by any means necessary.
Yes.
So the path doesn't matter. It's by any means necessary. We need a revolution. We need full power, full control, and we need it now. And by any means necessary means by any means necessary. That means murder, genocide, lying, manipulation, doing horrible things to children. Doesn't matter, as long as we get there.
Yeah, if his morality was like, well, we can't force our views on anyone. We have to argue. We have to wait. We have to have slow change. You can never get there quickly. If his was a philosophy of patience and listening and arguing, we would be like, hey, these social justice guys are pretty cool. They're, kind of like the hippies of the 70s, but they actually want more than just peace. They want to, I don't know, be more collectivist in their views, which is fair, so long as you're not stealing from other ones or advocating for...
Yeah, that's impossible because redistribution of wealth is one of the core tenets, as well is the destruction of the family so that the state can have full control, and so on. These are all core things of the socialist idea.
Right,
That's what the useful idiots are not aware of. They just think we're just doing better things, that people live nice together and are nice to each other.
But if they had more of a Christian view of like, be nice, be kind, be generous, be forgiving, and then like that would be like, oh, this this is exactly what we were taught of how to behave properly in society, whether you're talking about the modern North American world or whatever Judeo-Christian culture. And then say on top of that, we're going to do, I don't know, outreach. We're going to do soup kitchens. We're going to do whatever practice. Like, I don't know if you guys are aware of kids nowadays, they have to do community work in high school. So they have to.
In Canada?
Yeah. They got to go out and do community service, whether it's collecting garbage or working in a daycare or old age home. And
at what age?
High school. So it's part of a program. So whatever grade 12 is, or grade 11 or 12, in order to graduate, you have to do community service. So interesting stuff. I didn't have to do that growing up, but that's a new thing.
Yeah. Thing I wanted to hit home is, by any means necessary, is what we consider evil.
Yeah. This is the classic take of efficiency versus, not pragmatism, but diplomacy versus pragmatism. The Paragon Renegade Shepherd. It's like, I could talk you through this and get to the same result, or I could just shoot you in the head. So, yeah, you don't want to do that unless there's a good reason. And the argument is, well, the galaxy's at stake, or whatever is at stake that's so important.
Yeah, and I think this school of thought, or maybe it's a personality thing, of by any means necessary, is a product of greed and impatience.
It's definitely
there's a lack
anger.
of self-control involved.
There's definitely anger involved, because if you're not angry, you'd be like, well, I could wait. It's not a big deal.
Because it always comes across to me as the, I want it now, I want it now, I want the revolution now, I want the utopia now. I don't want to wait, I want it now.
Well,
and it's all so short-sighted that they do not understand, do not even think, maybe they're not capable of seeing the effects, the conclusions, the consequences of their actions.
It's always,
and they don't care about them because they only care about the goal.
It's always the last resort when you talk about negotiation, like violence or action, because even military engagement, that's the last resort. There's like 8 steps, I think. And I'm not a military guy, but I listened to a lot of these people who actually did take part in, not necessarily tours, but engagements with enemy factions. They would first negotiate, which just sounds a little bizarre, because you're like, why would you give away your position? But no, they negotiate with what's going on. It's like, hey, we have a military force. We're from wherever. We're going to be advancing on your position. We don't want to hurt anyone, but we are coming. And we're going to say, get your women and children out of here. Please evacuate the area. We have to take it over for whatever purpose. And they have to talk to the city leaders or the village leaders to say how that's going to work. They don't want to hurt anyone, but again, this is what they're trying to do. And they say yes, they say no, they say, what are you going to do? How is this going to work? What's the problem? And they try to help them if they agree. But they don't always agree 100%. There's always a little bit of pushback, because it's their home. Naturally, they're going to be defensive. And the level of engagement determines how violent they come in. For whatever purpose. It could be any reason. I'm not sure how that works, but they just want to secure an area. So anyway, that's off topic. Let's get back to Jonathan's...
There's a thing he leaves out. I just noticed.
What's that?
Because of what Ego Dreamer wrote. Antagonist wants change that threats the balance of things. Protagonist appears to avoid, stop the change, and to preserve the natural order. Well, that's not the that's not the super standard hero story. The super standard hero story is there is a tyrant in place, and the hero beats him, and that is change. That is the change that McIntosh is calling for. The most basic hero story is that, because here we have this a little bit more complicated story with a villain coming onto the scene, and then the heroes tearing that villain down, or preventing that hero from taking power. But the basic story, I would say, is the one where the evil guy is already in place. and maybe has been in place for a long time already. And that would be exactly what McIntosh wants. That is the hero bringing the revolution, the social change.
It's
and
weird,
he's
though.
not talking about that. He's only talking about, oh, but the villains won't change. They're good people. We need to consider them. We need to understand them, especially Red Skull.
It's weird, though, that he's implying that across the board, because I'm sure there's some scenarios he would disagree with, clearly. So, especially Thanos. But whatever. Let's just keep going.
As Graeber notes of superheroes, they remain defenders of a legal and political order, which, however faulty or degraded, must be defended, because the only alternative is so much worse.
Trust me, every time something gets better for one group, it gets worse for another.
According to the ideology of Marvel, then, the status quo is the best we can hope for.
No.
The world may not be perfect, but trying to change it will only lead to catastrophe.
No, that is... You draw the wrong conclusion here. Because you're only looking at one type of story. That's how you're disingenuous, Jonathan. It's not that hard to see through it. You're a disingenuous liar.
Legendary comics writer Alan Moore has criticized the rise of superhero blockbusters, saying the trend speaks to a denial of reality and an urge for simplistic and sensational.
Yes? Someone's mic off?
But, I'm just trying to formulate the words necessary to tell Alan Moore to go fuck himself.
Yeah, this is the guy who is directly attacking fans of, I guess, the entire, not even the genre, just the medium itself. Because they're a bunch of, what's the term he used? Man babies or man-childs or whatever. It's kind of like, dude, like you wrote for these people. They see you as this wonderful writer person. And he's just a curmudgeon attacking all of his supposed fans. It's kind of like, I don't know, a really angry Michelangelo making whatever artwork for the church. He's like, oh, I gotta make all these paintings, all these sculptures for all these unforgiving people who can't appreciate my work because I'm so great. It's like, no.
I'm just reading this. I didn't know the man was such a bloody idiot. This may be he writes that this may be entirely coincidence, but in 2016, when the American people elected a national socialist, Satsuma, and the UK voted to leave the European Union, blah blah blah. He believes Donald Trump is a national socialist. He doesn't even say Nazi. He says the full word, National Socialist. Fuck.
This is a guy that says that the first superhero movie was D.B. Griffith's Mighty Spectacle, The Birth of a Nation, 1915.
Wait, what? No, that's not a superhero film.
And the UK voted to leave the European Union, a Soviet-style socialist union led by a group of commissars. I think that's a good thing.
Well, if they
just generally,
if this guy thinks
fucking idiot.
This guy thinks the president of the United States in 2016 was a national socialist, that's awesome. That's amazing. Okay.
Wow.
Anyway, let us continue.
And he's right.
No, he's not.
Most of the press
that's retarded
today cannot be solved by finding a few bad individuals and punching them in the face. As cathartic as that fantasy might be. So let's pause for a moment and talk about how social change is actually accomplished here in the real world.
Sure.
Right.
Challenge the status quo.
Social change is made when people proactively organize themselves into mass movements.
Okay.
Like the Nazis did.
that then agitate and disrupt the status quo.
Okay.
Like the Nazis did.
I'm not seeing a problem.
We don't want to fight anymore, but if we have to fight again, it'll be to take these steps.
These movements apply pressure and raise social costs until the powers that be have no choice but to give in to the public's demands or be replaced.
That's a violent revolution.
Gee, this sounds the exact opposite of what happened in Canada a year or two back. See, we went to our capital and we partied. And we gave out back bacon and cake and bouncy castles, and then we got kicked out. So,
and you also have something to do with trucks.
There were trucks involved. There were vehicles involved. There were families involved. There were all the majority of these people. If 98% of the truckers involved were all vaccinated, so they were all doing everything was legal. Everything was the way that the government wanted them to be.
Yeah, it's the wrong social change they want, so it's not okay. Because Jonathan McIntosh would not approve of that sort of social change.
But they weren't violent, so it didn't work out.
I guess that's a problem. Good people don't do the violence thing.
Yeah, the Canadians were non-violent, therefore the change didn't work out. It's like, what? What do you mean it didn't work?
For anyone who's interested and has too much time after the Smudcast, check out what's currently going on in Israel. It's absolutely hilarious.
Or France. There's a good one too.
Yeah, but I think Israel is even funnier.
Okay, fair enough.
Transformational social progress has always been made. As Frederick Douglass famously remarked, power concedes nothing without a demand.
Ooh.
That fact presents something of a problem for the MCU, because there is no public to speak of.
What does that mean?
This was the exact scene I was referring to last podcast, about how they fixed the problem of police brutality. Just make them fucking robots that don't care about being ripped apart or getting glass thrown in their face. The robot doesn't even care.
You know, the downside to make the officer the robot, or the...
These guys are serving the same role as a police officer would, trying to, push back a mob.
Oh no, that just... How do I put it? Like, for a mob, it would be just normal people, but if you do this robot stuff for the police thing entirely, that's it's gonna have some negative consequences.
The scene they showcase, the robots don't fight back at any point. They get ripped to shreds by the mob, two of them go down and the rest just fuck off once the job is done.
Yeah,
nobody gets hurt as a result.
It's kind of like having mounted police. Like, you don't want to attack a horse, and if you get near a horse, it will trample on you. So you're like, oh, this is a gallant creature. I don't want to hurt it, but I'm also angry. So what do I do? And it causes people...
That has the threat of violence. Here, the robot doesn't even have the threat of violence.
Yeah.
I see the robot officer thing as a, both extremes thing where either it does nothing and it gets torn apart like on screen, or it cares not for who it's tearing apart and it just goes even further beyond what it was told to do.
Yeah, but essentially, Jonathan is advocating for his violence. So
yeah. Yes. He's advocating for violent takeover, which is what the Nazis did, in part. What people may not know is that their military wing was founded in response to the communists' military wing. Doesn't mean that they're suddenly the victims or the good guys, but it was a response, and you should note who started it. Which can also mean maybe we wouldn't have had the really big Nazi problem if the communists hadn't started escalating. Who knows?
All right, we got 3 minutes left? We've been going pretty quick. That's pretty good.
There are only innocent victims, unruly mobs, and of course, godlike super beings.
Unruly mobs is exactly what this whole thing is, I thought. What the fuck are you on about? Weren't there protests about the whole Sokovia thing?
I don't remember.
Sokovia Accords thing, when people pissed at it's something.
Both sides
I mean,
were fucking pissed in the in universe.
I mean, of the people, but it makes more sense with the incident in the books, in the comic books.
Well, the people are sheep.
I don't know.
But yeah, both sides, both in comics and in the movie, like, are quote-unquote mobs fighting over what they believe in. And we're fucking pissed at the idea of the Accord. Either they restrain the superheroes, or they let the superheroes run wild and do whatever they want to, like, do whatever they feel like, including creating robots that have direct access to Stark Industries.
And at the very least, the decision of which side was right didn't go to arbitration like it did in the comic.
What I also forgot to mention is what McIntosh is effectively arguing for is the revolution by a violent minority that's anti-democratic. Because before he agreed that the democratically decided leaving of the EU by the UK was wrong, and that electing the National Socialist, Trump, was wrong and shouldn't have been done. Thus, he is effectively against democracy when it is not doing what he wants it to do. So he is against the people, because this is also important to understand. When socialists talk of the people or the public, they mean the people that support socialism. Everyone else is not the people. Everyone else is the outsiders that need to be fought. They're wrong. So when it's the public, it means the public that supports socialism. The people is the people who support socialism. Those people, the people that are on our side, because they will agree with everything we say. And democracy means that the people get to vote, which means the socialists get to vote. That's already a language trick. So once you understand that, you better understand what he actually means with this, and why he's fine with the public violently overthrowing the government in some cases and in others not. Because for him there's two publics. There's his supporters and the enemy. That's that.
Okay.
Lies power. And if the public does not exist, then what Graeber calls constituent power also cannot exist. We're then left with a situation where a small group of powerful, unelected supermen and a few superwomen hold all the cards.
Oh, you mean like the European Commission? Because those are bloody unelected and they hold immense power. How about we get rid of them? McIntosh? Maybe it was good that the UK left that horrible creation, that horrible construct. Just a thought.
But anyone left-leaning will say that they want to be part of the EU. They want to have their, was it universal passport or whatever the heck the other benefits were?
If all these people on screen here were rabid communists, then Jonathan McIntosh would argue that it's of course good to that they rule everyone, because they know what's right to do. They are our dear leaders.
All right.
Hi, would you mind taking a picture with us?
Oh, sure.
The only role left for the citizens of the MCU is in deciding which powerful super being to worship.
I'm your biggest fan. To show you, boom!
In this way, the public is stripped of any power and reduced to passive fandom.
What? That's
you mean like The Sims for Hillary Clinton?
This is anyone who has a thing for a thing. That's nothing to do with superhero specifically.
This is like, this is any political leader cult. Hey, who keeps building political leader cults where they parade around giant pictures of their dear leaders? Oh wait, it's the people Jonathan McIntosh wants to have power.
But what about superheroes that can be killed, like Matt Murdock?
The normal, everyday guys who just have one unique ability or one amazing supernatural ability that doesn't make them gods.
Like the kind of people that you can kill with a gun.
Yeah, the majority of the Marvel superheroes are all like that, actually.
Yeah, it's like, what? Does the public still only have the ability to passive fans as he's setting them up to be? Where the only thing you can do in the Marvel Universe is be a simp for a superhero?
Well, it sounds as if he's trying to make these distinction between the innocents, those in power, and then this other group of people who want change, and they also happen to be part of the group who might be obsessive about the heroes. I don't know. Is that the opposite? I don't know. He just suddenly made this fourth group.
It's
I'm like,
cheering for the people who saved your life.
There's nothing wrong with saying, "Wow, Superman's awesome." If Superman was real, yeah, you bet your bottom dollar I'd be like, "Wow, I'm gonna get a Superman tattoo." It's Superman. The dude's doing everything in his physical capabilities to prevent people from dying, to prevent galactic destruction or whatever the case may be. That is way bigger than me. Like that is like Jesus come to life, creating miracles every day. Like you could make
be inspirational.
It would, yeah. You could make a religion over that, but there's really no need. He's real. Like you don't have to worship him. He's right there, and you would just say, "Yep, there's Superman. I believe in him. He's real. Truth, justice, and the humanitarian way, whatever that was."
It was the American.
Well, I mean, yeah, he would be more universal, I think, than just American. But the values of being an American, freedom.
He could move to that at one point, maybe, but I think that's just arguing about words, because the American way implies exactly that. That's what that was supposed to be.
Yeah, and I don't think it's specifically American when you talk about what he represents. So it would be a universal acceptance of.
I mean, at the time there wasn't much of a nation on the world that fought like that.
Right. Anyway,
so saying the American way, I think I'd say that's justified.
I don't see a problem with hero worship to the point of having godlike people running around saving the day. That's kind of like admiring veterans or admiring firemen or admiring policemen. You may not think of them as heroes, but when they do something where they save people's lives, they are a hero. And that's part of the job.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's maybe why people should be very upset that there are bills on the way that want to take away payouts from veterans in the U.S.
Yeah, we're getting a bill the end of this month where all of our taxes on alcohol across the board. Originally it was just beer, but now it's all alcohol are going to be increased. Just because.
How much?
We haven't seen the impact yet. I don't know. It's probably going to be 5 to 10%. We don't know.
What?
Yeah, we don't know yet.
Holy shit!
Yeah, so everyone was like
That's
scrambling.
Insane.
Everyone was scrambling to buy stuff this month.
That's basically soft abolition.
Well, beer nowadays already costs like $11-12 at a restaurant, like one bottle.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so
it's already insane when one costs $6.
And this is like cheap Canadian and American lagers, right? This is like the watery stuff. Anyway, off topic.
I was pissed when I went to $3.50.
Oh, same with cab fare, gratuity taxes, even bus fare. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh god, those are insane now.
Let's keep going.
And that means there's simply no way to achieve the kind of fundamental transformation that's necessary to turn the planet into an equitable or sustainable place to live.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We have Tony Stark. He's a genius, and everything.
He already invented super reactors that are awesome.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
In the DC world.
That's a question of inventions and not of violent revolution. You want a violent revolution that then does what? You turned everything into ruins that we then need to rebuild, have a new social order, new laws that you can't even name, that will be absolute shit like every other time we tried the socialist crap hole, and then we still don't have the inventions.
Yeah.
And you know what else happens under socialism? Inventions go down the drain.
Well, this is the problem that I can't remember that comedian that was he Russian or born in Russia. That comedian, he had that was it Cambridge or Oxford? He had that wonderful speech where he said about if you want to bring about change.
Konstantin Kissin.
Sorry, what was his name?
Konstantin Kissin.
Constantine, thank you. He said if you want this change from the climate that's you think the climate's going to kill us all, bring about cheap energy, bring about technological change that will cause people to have better lives. It's that simple, and all these other social issues are going to go away. And this is what we know. We know when we get to a point where we have enough resources for everyone, everyone's going to be happier. It's going to be easier to live. We can be free to pursue whatever. I could start painting again, as opposed to being a programmer most of my time. I could do art. I could do poetry. I could do whatever the hell I want outside of just having two jobs. So, yeah, if you have more freedom, that means you have more resources to be free. And technology will bring that about. You can't do that without...
So if you're a smart kid, don't go to this Fridays for Future bullshit that keeps you out of school on Fridays just to go to some environmentalism demonstration. No, you go to school, you learn shit, then you go to university and learn something practical, not the social justice garbage, no, something in engineering.
Well, that's
something in physics.
That's what
something in chemistry.
That's what
well, I don't care, but some one of the STEM fields.
That's why you
and then you invent something that actually helps us, and it doesn't need to be the big giant thing where you get a fusion reactor working.
Yeah.
If you are that good, awesome. We need that. We're making steps forward in that field, by the way, right now. But there are tons of other inventions that are needed, and you know what? Who invented that? Invented a technique to get all this plastic bullshit out of the ocean?
There's a few people actually.
Yeah, but the main guy was a kid. It's called in Germany. It's called Jugendforscht, but it's a youth invention. Oh God, words competition thing. Pseudo competition, and he had a concept for doing that. He's now an adult. He implemented that, has a company, and it's great. Like, look, even that means if you are a genius, even a kid can make that sort of change, that sort of difference. And that's the thing we need, not this violent revolution bullshit where you don't even know what you want. It's like in when Occupy Wall Street happened, there were instances here in Germany. The demonstrators eventually made it into the bank, and then didn't know what to do. And just wandered about randomly because like, okay, we got into the bank, and now what do we do? What now?
Sort of like the end of Finding Nemo, where they actually make it out of the dentist's office. Like, now what? They're trapped in the baggies.
Yeah, but it's because it's really retarded. They do not think through what they actually want to do. They just want to complain. And maybe there is a reason to complain, but when you don't even have a plan on what to do after you get the next step done, because that's the thing with the socialists. They want the violent revolution, and then what? Then they build their new social order. Well, what does that new social order look like? Can we talk about that before you do your violent revolution? Because maybe that thing is completely flawed, and then you killed a bunch of people for no good reason.
Okay.
That's why people hate you, Jonathan McIntosh.
So the whole idea is to go to university, become an engineer, and make something to make people's lives better. easier,
Yes.
faster, more efficient, whatever the case. It could be software, it could be hardware, it could be energy, it could be a fruit. I don't care.
It could be just improving an existing technology, like making the same technology, but with simpler ingredients. Like, for example, a solar panel that you don't need rare earths for. By the way, we have that, but you need copper, and it's not that efficient. But you only need copper.
Yeah. So social change comes about through production, not destruction. Okay, 20 minutes. We got 2 minutes left. Here we go.
Food. It's weird you guys have to pay for it.
Again, I'm not suggesting the...
You're leaving out the part where she
actively stole that.
Yeah.
Hey, you need to pay for that. Oh, guess it's not free here.
Because it's not free everywhere
Yeah.
in the multiverse.
If we have,
you're a fucking liar.
If we have abundance, like the only way we get to the end of scarcity. So we have this society of abundance where food would actually be free. You cannot get that through poverty. You cannot get that through destruction.
You certainly cannot get that through socialism. Well, that is definitely proven. That is true several times over.
It comes about through people having so many resources that they are able to provide so much competition that the cost of doing business is so low for basic resources, so that you get deflation through competition, which is not technically possible, but that's the start. So coffee will eventually start going down in price because everyone's making coffee. Everyone wants coffee, but they want the best coffee. They don't want the sugary, salty, whatever crap. They want the real good beans. They have to make the real good beans. So you have these levels of quality of coffee, and they are there. We're just not aware of them because Starbucks just pumps everything full of caffeine, and you don't know the difference.
Yeah, most Germans don't know what good coffee beans are. You can get that in Austria, but in Germany it's rather rare. People spend tons of money for expensive coffee machines, but the coffee they buy is usually shit.
Yeah, and all you have to do is talk to any South African or South American. They will know a guy who knows a guy who has a family who knows someone else who have been doing this for centuries, or not centuries, but close to a century, where it's the best, freshest kind of South American bean. And that's just the starting of a business right there.
Yeah, and if you want the best stuff, for example, in oolong tea, you get that China produces a lot of oolong tea. Vietnam produces some. You get some really, really good. You can get really, really good stuff from the Golden Triangle. But the best oolong tea you still get from Formosa, which is Taiwan. You just we still say Formosa for that, because that's when that started. The name comes from, was it the Portuguese who built their port there, their first one?
The French.
It means Formosa means beautiful port.
Oh.
That's what the island was first called by the Europeans, and well, Taiwan is a relatively small island considering how much tea is planted and harvested in all of China. There are provinces in China that are basically just tea plantations. The whole bloody thing. You look at a map, what the tea plantation, how big the tea plantations are in that thing, and it's basically the entire, like, imagine an entire state in the United States just being a one big farm plot for one thing. So the thing is, you have this the creme de la creme of this type of food, luxury food, you get from this one very, very small place, and a lot of people want that. Then there will be a price on it because it's rare. You can't say it's for free, but I would rather imagine if there is something like free food for everyone, it will be something very, very basic that is probably not very tasteful, but it fulfills your most basic need. It will not cover all nutritional needs, but it might just be there to be enough to get you through. Like imagine rice being free.
That reminds
something
me,
like that.
It reminds me of one of the guys, one of the inventors of like Soylent, which was that supplement sort of liquid, which provides all the basic nutrients. He's like, well, what if we could produce a liquid like you would turning on a tap, which would be nutrition, so a food. So
it would ruin your intestines in the long term because they don't have anything to do.
Well, that's one of the basic ideas he had. Like it may not work, but if you just needed to have basic nutrition.
Oh God, imagine that rotting in your pipes.
Yeah, this is the problem with stuff like that is you don't have proper gut health to digest all like this pure liquid whatever nutrition. So it's like you need
at first you need things to chew and you need things to actually digest in your guts.
Yeah.
The big stuff.
So,
not just liquids.
So a liquid nutrient broth can work, but not for too long because you'd be destroying your intestines. Anyway,
it's emergency food.
It is interesting, but let's keep going. We're almost done.
The Avengers are wrong to stop megalomaniacal conquerors or roll back the apocalypse. Obviously, that's the moral thing to do within the narrow context of these stories as they were written.
What? I need to hear that again in full. Sorry. Because he just justifying that the bad guys are actually all justified?
No.
Again, I'm not suggesting the Avengers are wrong to stop megalomaniacal conquerors or roll back the apocalypse.
Okay. He said he's
Obviously,
not doing that.
That's the moral thing to do within the narrow context of these stories as they were written.
Don't look at the camera.
What I am arguing is that the looping story formula underpinning Marvel's billion-dollar media empire leaves us with a bleak, oligarchic worldview.
What?
No, it doesn't.
Where might makes right.
No.
Well, it's a bleak worldview unless you happen to be a member of the ruling class, like those who own or control media conglomerates.
Can someone list some superheroes that are not part of the ruling class?
Matt Murdock, Spider-Man.
The entire X-Men and all the versions thereof.
Anyone else?
Well, any Canadian superhero. they're Canadian.
I'm trying to stick to Marvel, or the cinematic universe. Guardians of the Galaxy.
All right, yeah, good enough.
They are criminals even within their own spheres of influence.
Yeah, the villains of the Marvel's heroes are the Underground. They're all part of some weird brotherhood.
Yeah, but they're losing, so they don't count. They're not ruling allegedly.
The Eternals.
Well,
yeah, but they're aliens.
They're weird. Yeah, I don't know what
they are technically ruling the planet.
Miss Marvel.
Well, yeah.
I think you mean
would people like Bruce Banner count because he's technically just a scientist? He's not actually ruling class.
He's a rocket scientist.
Yeah, who's in power? Who's super powered?
The only one you would call upper class would be Iron Man. Would be Tony Stark.
I was gonna say like White Queen, but she's kind of like underground.
Who?
White Queen.
Fuck.
Who?
Emma Frost.
Yeah. Who? Emma Frost. Oh. Well, the X-Men aren't in this universe yet, Smud.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, Black Widow and Arrow Guy. God, I forgot everything.
Hawkeye.
Arrow Guy. Hawkeye. Yeah, they're definitely not ruling class.
I completely forgot she was in first class.
Yes. Damn it.
I don't know if the Hellfire Club is part
she
of
was she was literally Shaw's right hand. Bruh.
I've lost so much interest at this point. I'm starting to forget all of my brain is starting to delete stuff.
Yeah, like you could say maybe Charles Xavier was part of the upper echelons of society. He was a public figure. He had money. He had influence. But what he tried to do was pretty humble. He just wanted to make a school for people. And
yeah, I'm pretty sure the implication, at least in some versions, he gave up his social status to start up the school for gifted youth.
Yeah.
I mean, you can argue that he has silly amounts of money at some point because the kind of technology he employs there.
Yeah, because how would he be able to start the school and have everything in it otherwise? Yeah.
Or just starting the school that doesn't cost as much as the insane technology he's building inside.
That's a whole other.
So those are different things.
Yeah.
To start a school, all you need is not even a room and some students to sit down and a teacher. You can do that on the fucking park.
No, yeah, well, that's people usually just put it all together, not just the school, but also the technology, like you said. Put it all together because that's part of the operation.
I would say that Magneto would probably, wanting to make his own country was probably, that's pretty ambitious. That's pretty up there. So pretty influential, but he's a villain. So
what was that place called? Damn.
House of M storyline.
No. That was the story. I forgot the damn name of the island. Fuck.
Hey, but after gaslighting us for over 10 minutes, if not more, and telling us that the villains, they're all kind of justified because they're good, because they bring change.
Genosha, that was what it was called.
But he's totally not. I'm not advocating that the heroes are wrong because they can't. Because the stories are so simple. But actually, the heroes are right about bringing change, and doesn't matter how many they kill.
But they're wrong because they're not doing enough.
This is just what he just said here. That's his fig leaf.
Well, look at
with which to cover up that he's not actually doing what he's doing. Don't get tricked by that.
It's the same idea with Doctor Doom and Magneto. They wanted to start their own. Well, in case of Doctor Doom, he did start his own. He took over his own country.
But, yeah, exactly. Latveria was already a thing.
Yeah, so he is seen as a villain, but we understand his motives. Like, we get why he's doing it, and it's all to protect his country. So his methods are the problem, not that he wants to. I'm sure all the leaders of every country have good motives. It's how you get there. So, well, okay, obviously some people were not as enlightened as others.
What's that African country right now where you have an average IQ of 56 and you have one ruling family that is exploiting everyone?
Jesus. Holy crap.
Do you know how little that narrows it down?
Actually, very much. There's only one like that, and I forgot the name.
I'm kidding. Yeah, I know. I forget the name too. I was just.
Yeah, in this case, the joke doesn't work.
Okay, well, the idea is that the villain, as enlightened and as intelligent as Doctor Doom is, and we know he's the best of the world because he's figured that out. So, it's his methods that matter. And that's why he's a villain, as virtuous as he thinks he is. This is the irony that Jonathan doesn't grasp. That is so obvious.
Doom's thrown down with almost the entire superhero roster over the shit he's done.
Yeah. And even Magneto knows his faults, especially when he went through that whole Joseph issue of what happened to him. So it's kind of like comics dealt with these issues, these concepts. What if the villain was good? What if he was actually reborn again and enlightened and wants to do well and go back in time and fix these problems?
Literally the entire point of What If in the first place.
Yeah, we got the story of X-Men, as I said, the Joseph story. So we've gone over this, Mr. Jonathan, and if you actually read the comic books and understood them, you would understand what the hell the messages were. But to lump all of the villains as some sort of heroes because they want to cause change is... I don't even... Like, how would you do that with, like, the Shi'ar Empire or...
Doesn't matter. He already brought us the worst examples imaginable. the most misguided people. Thanos, Killmonger, and Red Skull. And I will be so bold and say he knows exactly what he does understand all of this. He just wants us to get used to the idea of violent revolution and accept everyone who dies in the process as just necessary sacrifices. Because that is how socialists see their revolutions. He wants us to get used to that and agree with him. And even if we disagree with him, he wants us to accept it.
I'm trying to remember the phalanx also try to invade Earth, and were they synthetic or were they a combination of things? I can't remember because they were all just this big amalgamation of everything anyway.
It might have been a combination of things.
Yeah, it's kind of like, okay, are they what Jonathan wants? Some overmind like link of an alien force to come in and just suck all the life and technology out of Earth? Would that be social change?
Of course it's social change by definition. Society has changed.
Jeez.
To death.
Yeah. The phalanx are common. They're techno-organic.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know, man. This is the weirdest take on villains in the Marvel or DC universe I've heard. That the villains are good because they want social change. That's not.
Well, it's from a socialist. That goes without saying.
Yeah, I think it just shows us what socialists truly think.
Violence is okay as long as you get what you want. That's like, what? No, come on, dude.
But then wasn't everything that is claimed about Trump and his supporters to be justified because they wanted social change or something?
Yeah, it's only good when Kennedy does solves the Bay of Pigs. It's it's the Russians totally should have nuked the States, but it's okay when Kennedy solves that problem. Okay, if it was a Republican, it would have been worse. So anyway, we're almost done. Let's keep going.
For them, a worldview promoting the status quo is probably quite comforting.
That's anti-Semitic, Jonathan.
When we walk into these movies, we are transported to a universe where the mere idea of challenging systems of power or working to change the world automatically makes you a villain.
What?
No.
I hope you enjoyed that deep dive into...
No, you're insane! You're fucking insane! Also, you're getting fat.
Why did you play Dick Tracy's song at the end?
Holy shit.
There is no word to describe how bold-faced this man is willing to gaslight the audience into thinking he had a satisfying conclusion to what was an open admittance that he looks at the most disgusting creature imaginable to the modern mind, like a pure, undiluted, unhinged Nazi that does say yes, everyone that is not German, blonde, blue-eyed deserves to be wiped out. And goes, no, at least he wants to have socioeconomic changes.
You know what? I just realized that's the same term that people use to describe Maggie Mae Fish. She does deep dive video essays.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought her up because I was thinking about her as he was talking about the upper class.
Well,
should I be worried about that Rainbow Dash plush hiding in the corner?
I think so.
Oh dear Christ!
I'm just like, can we finally blacklist this doofus already?
No,
he's amazing.
What the fuck? You barely said anything, and now you want to blacklist him? We have finally someone entertaining again.
We have
entertaining.
We have too many people blacklisted at this point.
Well, we
blacklist. You can't just blacklist every insane communist. Then we can't watch YouTube anymore.
We blacklist people who are literally providing no value. They have absolutely garbage takes. They have no references. They have no evidence. See, with these guys, they have their shtick, and then they reference a stupid thing from a video, and we just go, that's completely wrong.
We have like 16 people blacklisted.
McIntosh is entertaining insanity. He's not just this weird tweak guy who just says the N-word all the time, like free. What was it?
Show
20 times per minute.
It's not like Veritas Show or his other brother who tries to act like he's not as bad as Veritas Show.
Oh, really? He has a brother? Okay.
Even though that brother unfortunately decided to blow up over a cancer patient over Steven Universe like a civilized human.
All right.
Oh, those are related.
Anyway, let's get to the memes. And
No. He still has some babble too.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Why would you want to watch that?
I want to hear his insanity.
Fine.
The MCU. Now, if you like these kind of long-form critical video essays, please consider going over to Patreon to help fund the project there. I've also left a link to PayPal and a wish list below if you prefer. Now, everything on this channel is 100% funded by viewers like you. There are no ads, no sponsorships, and no paywall. So
what about the
anything you
Patreon?
give is very much appreciated. I will see you all again very soon for another video essay, this one on colonialism in modern board games.
Modern what?
Settlers of Catan, colonialism.
Wait. Again.
Very much appreciated. I will see you all again very soon for another video essay, this one on colonialism in modern board games.
Shoots and
Thanks so
Ladders,
much
the
for
colonial of this.
Really?
You fucking what, mate?
It's mainly viewer paid. Okay, it's not.
That's what I'm saying.
Whatever.
Okay, look, there's the last video we covered.
Okay. Anyway, let's go to memes because that was retarded. Thank you. Here we go.
Yes.
It's only viewer paid. All of them.
That's what I mean.
have
This
the
is
Patreon for.
entertaining insanity.
So this is.
Wait, is he gonna bring up how the Imperium colonizes planets in 40
Oh God! Don't even. Jeez, that's gonna be
Shoots
horrible.
and Ladders is about oppression.
I thought about actual board games, not tabletops.
I don't know what he means by tabletop because it's such a broad category. So
He said board game. He said board game.
All right, let's hope he sticks to those guns.
Okay. Oh dear. Honey, I taught the dog the N-word. Okay. Thank you for that strange poster.
Really, you did that many without us?
Billions must die. My God. What is this? Why does it look like some weird version of the video game nerd?
Oh my God! Comment.
Oh no.
Oh. Do I have to read this Zimitnin?
I mean, we can read them for you.
I was about to say I can read them if you don't want.
All right, go for it.
I hate the trope of activists as villains so much, and not many people even realize this trope exists. It has been very present in media for a long time. I feel like the number of media in which activists are allowed to be heroes, as they are in real life, increases nowadays. But there's still a very long way to go, as long as these sort of films are the main strand now. Thank you, Jonathan, for another excellent video.
Everything you just said is wrong.
I want to know what these guys think a villain should be. And
Not to mention
capitalists.
If when they do something against the status quo, it's always misled or warped. One thing that always bothered me about Black Panther was that Wakanda's very first social center was built in California. Only the richest state of the richest nation of the richest world, not even, say, any other neighboring African country. Lol.
Well, that's actually, but that is a good thing. And he only got 6 upvotes instead of 1,500.
He's the one. He's the MVP here, calling out the black people. Well done. I think the latest Batman is a particularly egregious example, simply because it started so well. It was funny, everything right, by showing how Wayne's instinct of going out and beating up poor people isn't really helping anyone.
What?
It's only when he started addressing the corruption built in the system, he became a force for good, and then BAM! Random murder trademark, just to ensure the viewers don't leave the cinema agreeing with the villain.
But he doesn't murder, though. But he doesn't murder anyone.
think you guys.
He died a few times himself. Technically, if we apply real world physics.
Is this the Batman movie he's talking about?
Yes.
It's like, why do I think this guy got his wires crossed and was thinking of BVS?
Oh my god.
I don't know what this. Yeah, this is. I'm trying to think when this happens in the Batman movie.
Nowhere.
I guess technically. Oh, not the Dark Knight. That one doesn't. He doesn't tackle any real corruption there. He becomes the law.
Oh no. I really don't think Captain Planet is Jonathan McIntosh's version of a socialist superhero.
No, he is because that's Captain Planet is a socialist psyop.
It's too dumb.
No,
it's too stupid.
No.
What?
No.
What?
No. Shut up.
Lalo?
Wisp, shut up. Shut the fuck up.
Okay.
Captain Planet met Hitler and was horrified by him.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
What? But look at how they hold up the fists. Holding up the rings is just an excuse to hold up the revolutionary fist. I never saw that before when I was
the revolutionary fist exist back then.
Yes, of course. That thing is older, much older.
So,
do you know anything about history?
So here we have, what is this comic? I'm not even sure what this is.
The arms are way too long.
But essentially he wants to create more resources for the entire planet. They will worship me as a hero, and I will take over the entire tri-state area. What? Kill half of all people? What kind of crazy person would do that? You see, Perry the Platypus, when I was growing up, my parents only let me eat half of all my meals. Okay. Stream chat is wild. Is it? Oh, okay. The camp joke. Very good.
Also, I'm sorry if I confused you.
What?
All right. Who's this? What is?
I'm going at South Park.
The fractured butthole.
Yeah, that is Eric. I forgot what he called himself, and Mysterion. That
the names are right there.
Which is Kenny.
All right.
Yeah, the name. Yeah, Cartman.
Oh God,
and
it's in the top left corner. Bloody
yeah,
hell.
the Coon and the Coon and Mysterion.
McIntosh presenting his ideas to his writer, 2022. You seem to be following in Hitler's footsteps. What the heck am I looking at? Is that just a bunch of helmets?
More South Park.
Okay.
Yeah.
By any means. Okay, yeah, there we go. Lenin getting up out of his glass coffin.
Crush capitalism.
Yes. That makes so much more sense. Well, how is humanity going to evolve without a guiding hand? We need to rock their understanding of the world, show them that evolution is necessary, by any means necessary. Hero of the Year, Macintosh, a la Robot Man kills people. My hero is Ultron. Okay.
No.
Wi-Fi. Okay.
You stupid illiterate fuck.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, Alan Moore. Hey, Teacup, why don't you chill out?
Yes, please.
That's great.
Viva la revolution!
Okay.
How is that?
Writer Alan Moore argues Birth of a Nation is the first American superhero film. Really?
Thanks, Satan.
How can someone be this brain dead?
Then we have flower power.
Bang.
All right. Watching the part in V for Vendetta where the government creates a virus and uses it to seize power over its people. Har har. We're finally out of the European Union. Thank the minister. So tiresome to call them up when we're oppressing our people. All 30 of the people watching this won't know where we're from. Yep. Yeah.
Just my profile picture in the background.
Mike just there.
Paul Walker.
He's the minister.
I'm prime minister.
Everybody should watch this show, and Nigel Hawthorne is doing an amazing job.
There are some really good lines too. Content warning: retarded. Uh-oh. The retard author flagged this retard as showing some retarded ass shit. Okay.
Fooled you.
Open nothing. It's for free. Gas for free.
For free?
Free.
The sound effects in that scene are so good.
Ah, that man was a gift to humanity.
He was better than the guy who played Sporticus.
Whilst this might be viewed as a controversial change to the norm, it could have severe socioeconomic change, and that is why Red Nazi Skull has a point.
Yeah.
Oh
No.
God.
Oh my God! What is happening? You mean that's not just some crazy disguise? I've been working with a Nazi. But of course, why are you so upset, Joker? For what I have read of your exploits, it seems obvious. You would make a superb Nazi. That mask must be cutting off the oxygen to your brain. Maybe a criminal lunatic, but I'm an American criminal lunatic. Keep back, boys. This creeps mine. How unfortunate. Such misplaced patriotism. Okay.
Now we get to the uncomfortable part.
Oh no.
Why are no.
Oh, hey.
Is there My Little Pony? Oh no, not the cum jar.
No.
Not the cum jar.
Okay.
No.
There he is.
Based.
That's where he just pulls out the Uzi and just slaughters his own people for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What is this? Oh, this is the South Park thing. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, South Park. Making the world a better place. Anyway, that was less painful than yesterday. It seemed as if all the screws came off the wheels. They just sort of ground to a halt with his message. So that's good. It didn't go anywhere. But, man, those takes were bad. And people like this. People actually watch it. It's amazing. I could make a whole channel dedicated to every one of his videos, taking them apart for the crazy takes that he's given.
A whole other channel?
I would just call it a different series, but you could make a whole channel because this is insane. Like, this is his insanity on display, and he's like, this is what I believe. It's like, you are crazy.
No, this is not what he believes. This is what you should believe. He wants you to believe that.
Yeah, it's one thing to understand the motives and goals of a villain. It's another thing to say, well, if he wasn't violent, it'd be fine. It's like, okay. Killing half the people of the universe is still violence, whether you do it all at once or slowly. It's the same method. Anyway, that was Jonathan McIntosh, once a year thing. Glad to have it, but I'm good to go. So time to take a break. So thanks, guys.
I'm glad he's gone.
Yeah. I don't want to see him for a while.
I can't wait for next time.
Oh my God, it's gonna be so much fun. Anyway, thank you, people, for attending the second part. I know the first part was crazy, but the second part was a lot easier for me. And keep the suggestions coming. We should probably do an anime one because we missed Monday. But I'll leave that up to you guys for a vote. And we'll talk to you real soon. Have yourself a great evening. And have a good one. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.